Bashir is in New York with some serious questions tonight about the SAT test. Martin?
Thanks, Terry. Yes, just ahead on Nightline, loophole for the rich kids. How some teenagers may be getting an extra edge on the SAT for a price. And
ABC News Nightline, brought to you by MasterCard. Nightline continues from Times Square with Martin Bashir.
this weekend, thousands of high school students will sit down and aim for that perfect score on the SAT test, an anxiety-provoking but crucial hurdle in the race for college admission. In a country where every high school is different, the SAT is supposed to be the one unifying standard that levels the playing field for everybody. But maybe it's not quite so level after all. Here's ABC's Jake Tapper.
When Allie Helberg was in prep school, she says several of her classmates obtained notes from psychologists diagnosing them with learning disabilities, even though they didn't have learning disabilities. They did so, she says, to get extra time to take the SATs and thus get higher scores.
I had a friend actually who is a good math student, but is no math brain, and she got extended time and got a perfect score on her math SAT.
And where's she in college now?
She's at Princeton now.
What do you need to get on your SAT to get into Princeton or Harvard?
If you have great grades and great extracurriculars, I think you need at least a 1500.
At least a 1500?
I think so, in the 14s, but I know I got below 1400, and I knew I didn't have a shot of getting into an Ivy despite my grades and extracurriculars.
Did you think about at the time, did you think about it all, getting this note from the doctor?
No, I knew my parents would never let me do that.
Some call it the rich kids loophole. For decades, the College Board, which administers the SATs, has allowed up to twice as much time to accommodate students who have legitimate learning disabilities, such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But with college admissions more competitive than ever, guidance counselors and other educators say privileged kids are gaming the system. 300,000 students will take the SAT this Saturday. About 30,000 a year will get special accommodations. How many don't truly deserve that extra time? At the elite Wayland High School outside Boston, the number of students receiving special accommodations is more than 12%. That's more than 6 times the national average of high school students with learning disabilities.
And you talked to the coach there?
I did, yeah.
Wayland High School guidance counselor Norma Greenberg is concerned.
There are a lot of hired guns out there. There are a lot of psychologists who you can pay a lot of money to and get sort of murky diagnoses of, subtle learning issues. Subtle is a word that really is a red flag.
2% of high school kids have learning disabilities, the College Board says. But at some elite schools, up to 46% of students are receiving special accommodations, including extra time. In 2000, the California State Auditor questioned whether special accommodations should have been given in nearly 1 out of 5 instances. Harvard graduate student Sam Abrams conducted a study on students in Washington, D.C., where those receiving accommodations is more than 3 times the national average.
We see outright overperformance, performance that's very, very high, scores that on average on the disability population would qualify you without question to the elite universities. We're looking at tests here that are 200 to 300 points higher than what they should be. This strikes me as very compelling evidence that people are taking advantage of the system in Washington, D.C.
In Chicago's wealthy northern suburbs, SAT tutor Jay Brody sees the same thing.
Parents have asked me on numerous occasions if I know doctors that specialize in this. I know if you get on the internet, there are doctors advertising that they perform this service. And there's really no incentive for doctors not to do it. And so I think it's pretty easy for anyone to find.
Dr. Stephen Mouton has one such website, complete with credit card information, SAT dates, and information for customers who want to fly into Pasadena to see him.
Business is up, and I'm guessing it's because of access to the internet. Hi, Adriana.
Mouton, a licensed clinical psychologist, charges more than $1,500 for a diagnosis. He says he diagnoses a learning disability about 90% of the time, all of which, he says, are genuine. Most of his clients, he says, are from wealthy neighborhoods in Los Angeles.
What I recommend is to take the SAT under regular conditions, then give yourself an additional 50% more time, on the practice test. And if you see a significant difference, then there's a high probability that you would benefit from the additional time.
As far as I see it, the extra time is literally just like adding a couple hundred points, say, to a student's score.
The College Board, however, denies this is a problem at all.
The board has put into place a rigorous system so that students who should not be getting special accommodations don't.
Do you think there are students out there gaming the system and receiving this accommodation even though they do not have learning disabilities? Yes or no?
I believe that there are students and families who think they can game the system, who end up being very disappointed when their students are not given the special accommodations that they believe they should be getting.
But out there in the trenches, many disagree with the College Board. Mark Magazoo went to a modest high school in rural New Jersey. He had to take a year off between high school and college to beef up his SAT scores. Years later, as an SAT tutor, he saw students exploiting the rich kids loophole.
I never found a single one that wasn't capable of actually paying attention and actually focusing on a test.
It bothers him. It's unfair, he says.
I mean, I was right on the cusp everywhere I applied. I could have used the extra 50 or 200 points. It makes me more mad to know that there are some kids that they don't get accepted, that went through what I did. I couldn't go to school for a year.
In addition to casting a suspicious light on those students who have legitimate special needs, this issue may be teaching honest students a bad lesson, such as Allie Hellberg, now a freshman at Georgetown.
Do you wish that you had done it?
Yes. I mean, no, because I'm happy here and I got in.
This is Jake Tapper for Nightline in Washington.
Money, fairness, and the SAT. Our thanks to ABC's Jake Tapper.